Spider crab, your friendly neighbourhood spider crab. Let's see if we can get one. Look at what we have here. A beautiful little dab. Oh yeah, there's definitely some weight on this one. Oh, only I could do this. There he is. Good to go back. Pretty tiny dogfish, but hey, they all count. Well, good morning. You're joining me down at Shoreham again. I've come down here today because the sea is absolutely flat calm and it's been fishing pretty well recently, as you might have seen from my previous videos. So the targets for today, I've got one rod cast out already. That's the competition performance there with my Daiwa 7HT, which I gave a service yesterday. That's out targeting plaice. And I brought my Banzai multi-tip rod down again, which I haven't got set up yet, for scratching around a bit closer in. There's been a few bream caught down here the last week or so. Not in any great numbers, but I'm going to try for one, see if we can pick one up. I brought some squid bait down for that. We'll take a look at all the bait I've got in a minute and the rigs I'm going to be using. So that's the main targets: a plaice, a bream, and possibly a little flounder as well, because it's just a tiny band of colour at the edge that might tempt a flounder in as the day goes on. Anyway, it's now 9:30. High tide is just after midday, so I'm going to fish a few hours up, a few hours down today and see how we get on. So I've got both rods chucked out now. Scratching rods just close in with a couple of little half bits of black lug on. Whereas the competition performance, I chucked out further because that's the one targeting the plaice. But anyway, let's take a look at the baits we have for today. First up, in my little cool bag, I've got some frozen baits. I've got a few frozen lug, there's about half a dozen there, and another wrap of 10. So I've actually only stuck out frozen lug at the moment. I've got a few crabs. There's about tiny little crabs in there, about 6 or 7 of those. And I have, without dropping it all, a massive squid. I'll be chopping some little bits off that to stick on the scratching rod just to see if those bream are here, and that's all being kept cool with a nice ice pack. So I'll just get all this zipped back up to try and keep the cool air in. And then we'll take a look at the fresh bait that I've got. So this is in my other bait pack. There's a little bit of water in here. I'm going to have to put this in the sun to dry out in a minute. Just pop that down there. We have, first up, some beautiful fresh lugs that I went and pumped last night. So look at those. Beautiful worms there. A few gutted themselves. I've got them wrapped in newspaper. But there's about 30 fresh lug. I also got, when I was out pumping the lug, I managed to pick up one of these, if I can get it out the paper. A big juicy razor, so we'll give that a go a bit later on. And the other fresh bait I've got, I just did a little bit of digging. I managed to get a few white rag. No monsters in there. To be honest, it was hard going where I was digging. There wasn't a lot of worms showing, but I got a few of those to chuck out on the scratching rod just to see if we can pick anything up. I'll give them a try a bit closer to high tide because we haven't got many. So yeah, that's the bait. So we've got white rag, fresh outs, a few fresh lug that gutted themselves, frozen lug, squid and crabs. So hopefully that'll bring us a few fish. So I've got here one of the rigs I'm going to be using today. It's my mono bar rig, and I've got a 6-ounce grip lead on the bottom there and a very short rig body that's about 6 or 7 inches long, probably 7. Secured at the bottom we have a swivel with a rig gum stop above it, and then at the top of the rig body we have the rig gum stop, a bead, SRT spring, bead, swivel, bead, and that's just free sliding at the top there with the size 1 swivel at the top. At the very bottom of the rig we've got the imp to clip the hook on, and I've got a 3-foot snood. This is with fluorocarbon. So there's a 3-foot snood here, And at the bottom end, the business end, I've got a cascade swivel, a mini snood clip, and then the short piece of line down to the hook, which is a size 1/0 saltwater champion with my usual bait stop there with a sequin and a bead held in place with a rig gum stop. And the reason I've gone for the 1/0 saltwater champion on here is because this is the rig I'm going to use with those fresh outs. I find those fresh outs a little bit too big for the size 4 hooks that I use on a lot of my plaice rigs. So they're going to go on this 1/0 hook. This is my chuck it out a distance rig and hope for a plaice. And you never know, nice bass might come along in my dreams. Pick up one of those fresh outs. Anyway, we'll see how the day goes on with this one. And in a minute, I shall go through my other 3 rig choices with you. Well, I was just about to go through my second rig and I've got a bite on the multi-tip. This is one that's chucked out about 50 yards, size 4 hooks, half a frozen lug on each hook. So we're going to keep an eye on this and see if we can pick something up. In case it's a flounder, I'm just going to give it a little twitch, because as I said in my last video, if we twitch the bait, the flounder can act like a cat and pounce on it. Let's give it a go. Twitching is a very underrated technique, or at least maybe not underrated, but not very often you see people do it. So there we go, that's just pulled that. Made the line go a bit slack, I'll just tighten it up a tiny bit. Oh, it's in the edge. There we go. Now we watch and wait and see if the flounder takes the bait. God, I'm almost a poet this morning. My goodness, I haven't even had a cup of coffee. Anyway, let's see if that becomes anything. We need to give him time to take that hook down and hopefully we'll pick up a fish. But that's not bad, it's only been out about 10 minutes. First cast, looking good. So let's take a look at my summer species rig that I'm going to chuck out on a scratching rod on the Banzai multi-tip. So it's a 3-hook flapper, and the top snood here, I've got a swivel at the top there as standard, and I've got a little white floating oval bead that grips the line with a size, I think that's a size 6 saltwater super match hook, and I've loaded that with a little strip of squid. Moving down the rig body to the next hook, so the middle one. Oh, untangle it. We have the same, a 2-foot snood. This time I've got a little red pop up. Again, same size hook, little strip of squid. And the bottom hook is attached right at the bottom of the rig. So this is a 1 below, 2 above, 1 below rig, 2-foot snood. And I've loaded that hook with a little piece of crab. And there's no pop-up on there, so maybe that crab will tempt something like a flounder, and I'm hoping if there's any bream around, they might like my little strips of squid. Now ideally I'd have been using rag, would be my preferred choice of bait for the bream, but I haven't got any, so we've gone with the squid instead. Well, it's time to see if that knock came to anything on this Banzai multi-tip rod. So we're going to walk down the beach just to get a bit closer to the water and see if we've got anything on here. Does it feel like there's anything? I'm not convinced there's a fish. I'm getting close to the edge. It felt like there might have been a little kick then. Hopefully it wasn't just the pyramid lead catching on a rock. The moment of truth. No, nothing. However, I hate to say it, but we have evidence of the dreaded spider crab. Evidence of a spider crab on the first cast is never good. Look, that is my bottom snood, and it is no more. Sad times. Well, because that spider crab was at about 50-60 yards, I'm going to assume it was the only one in the sea. How foolish of me. And I'm going to chuck this one in a little bit closer. This is that 3-hook flapper rig I just went through with the bits of squid and the crab on the bottom hook. Now hopefully the pop-ups on this might help a little bit, keep those top hooks at least out of the way of any crabs, spider crabs, but they do have long old legs. Let's see if we get bitten off again. Let's hope not. Let's hope that was a one-off. Anyway, time to get these baits whacked out. I say whacked, they're going about 20 yards. Yep, that probably was about 20 yards, maybe 25. It's kind of hard to cast closer than that, if I'm honest. Oh, anyway, we've got baits out. Let's see if we can pick up a fish. Well, it's time to do a bit of baiting up. I've got one of those fresh outs here that I pumped last night. I'm going to pop it on the monobar rig. So the first thing I'm going to do is chop off the sandy tail. I need more hands, bear with me. There we go, so now the sandy tail's gone. I'll just pop my scissors down. I'm going to get the needle, tail first. Slide the worm gently on to the needle. And out the top end. So there we go, and I'll get my monobar rig here. And I'm going to put the lead down, get the hook. Now I'm going to look to see where my stop knot is for the bait. So I need to create a bit more room for the worm. And then pop the end of the hook into the baiting needle. Hold that nice and tight. Slide that beautiful worm on. There we go. Perfect. So that juicy bait is going to be sent out a distance when I reel in the competition performance that's targeting the plaice today. But there we go. Look at that beauty. Well, you probably can't see too well, but there's someone fishing in the beach, down the beach that way. I think just to the very left of the shot, you might be able to make out a little shelter down there. That shelter is occupied by Fisho. So some of you may remember watching his videos on YouTube in years gone by. Sadly, he doesn't make YouTube videos anymore, but he walked down the beach to say hello and he wants to have a bet for the biggest fish. So we've got a quid on the table to see which one of us can catch the biggest. Anyway, it's time to get this plaice rod reeled in and see if we got anything on here. And once this has come in, we'll be chucking out that lovely juicy fresh out. If I can get this grip lead out the ground. That's moving. And it's always harder to tell on the first chuck if you've got anything, I reckon. Well, I find it anyway, find it harder to tell. There is definitely a bit of weight on here. Hopefully it's not just that grip lead dragging over that sandbar that's out here. I didn't actually cast this one as far as I can get it, you know, being the first cast. Do take it a little bit easier. It's also possible that because there's a lot of May rot about at the moment, the weight that I'm feeling could just be the rot on the line pulling. And I can see globs of it coming up the line in this direction. So you can see I'm getting my excuses in early today. We've got May rot and spider crabs. I still reckon there'll be a few fish out here though. My mate here yesterday had half a dozen or so. So we're in with a chance. And you know, it's also lovely to be out fishing without a jumper on for a change. Anyway, we're nearly in. The leader knot is, well, the leader knot is coming. There we go. I'm using a tapered clear Zen and leader on here today. No fish. So probably just the weight of that rot on the line. But at least we've got both our hooks back. So we'll take a look at this rig shortly. But first of all, we're going to get that monobar rig chucked out. So here we go. That juicy worm, loaded, ready to go on the competition performance with my just serviced 7HT. In fact, I forgot to put my thumbie on, so I'm going to go and grab my thumbie and then we get the baits launched out. So there we go, thumbie in place, safe to cast out. There doesn't seem to be much tide rip out there at the moment, so I'm not going to walk quite as far up tide as I did for my first cast. I'm just going to whack this from here and hopefully find where those plaice are. There we go, baits are out. Let's see if we can get one. So let's take a look at a bit of baiting up. I've got here one of the fresh lug that had gutted itself. And this is my other plaice rig. This is my 2-hook loop rig. This has only got 12-inch snoods today. Thought I'd just try mixing it up a bit, put some shorter snoods on than I used last time. I think it's always good to try things different, see what works well, what doesn't. And this has got a size 4 super match on the bottom, my usual bait stop and the mini snood clip that you've seen in my other rigs. So I'm just going to slide that on, move the stop knot down to hold that there nicely in place. And I haven't got too many fresh worms, so I'm going to put some of these frozen ones on the top. So you can see I freeze my worms in cling film. I think they keep better that way. And that actually looks in pretty good shape. So I've already trimmed the ends off these. Thread that on the bait needle. It's actually quite stiff. When I freeze them down, I put a little bit of salt and oil on. And it just keeps them a little bit firmer, as well as putting them in cling film. Oh, bait elastic's gone a bit haywire, snap a bit off. There we go. Oh, it's like spider web. Give that a good whip. Get that end off, ends of elastic everywhere. And then for the top hook, again it's a 12-inch snood, size 4, saltwater super match, nice and tight. Thread it on, and that bait stop, there we go, slide that down a little bit. So that's the frozen one. So that's all ready for next time I reel in. I'm going to get this kept in the shade rather than hung up because it is quite sunny today. Often I'll hang my rigs on my tripod, but this one can stay here in the shelter, in the shade. So that's ready to go. Next job for me, fix that spider crabbed rig. So I've fixed that rig. Let's take a little bit of another look at baiting up. I've got here one of these tiny frozen crab. Now they are too small really. I bought these off someone who sold me them as large crab and I was very unimpressed when they arrived. But I've taken the shell off already. I've just snipped it, not quite in half, but enough so that I can fold it like that. And then we're going to get the bait needle and I'm going to slide this through from one end of the crab through to the centre where it's folded and then out through the other half. So the crab is now on the baiting needle. I'm going to try and make that a bit more evenly sized as we go along. Get the bait elastic and I'm going to give this a really good whip on. Now I might be removing some of these legs later because I've only got small hooks and they might be a bit obstructive. But we'll see what it looks like once I've done this bit. Well, while I was putting the elastic on that crab, my battery died. But anyway, we've got a crab on the baiting needle. And I'm going to put this on the bottom hook of my other scratching rig, which is a Wessex style rig. We've got the weight there, free sliding in the middle. And the bottom hook, this is where the crab's going to go. It's a size 4 saltwater super match. We're going to very carefully slide that on. It's a bit more fiddly putting the crab on using the baiting needle than it is a lug. Just have to be quite careful coming around that point. It's going on. There we go. That crab is on there. Now I've just got to make sure the hook point is proud. There we go. And in fact, I think those legs look all right, so they're all going to stay. And then for the top hook, we're going to use one of these frozen lug. And if I get all my hooks back when I reel in the scratching rig on that I've got out there at the moment, the 3-hook flapper, if I've got all the hooks left, then I'm going to try some of those whites. You can see, even though these lug have been frozen, they're still nice and tough because of the way they've been stored. So we're just going to put a bit of elastic around this. Make sure that sits nicely. So again, size 4 saltwater super match on here. Get the bait round. No need for bait stops on this rig because it's not clipped down. And there we go. Another one baited up, ready to go out. Well folks, it's time to reel the Banzai multi-tip in again, and hopefully this time no spider crab action. There's some bend gone in that tip, but the tide must be pulling a bit now. Anyway, let's reel down into this. This is my 3-hook flapper rig with a 4-ounce pyramid on the end. So if you remember, I had 2 baits on here that were squids, 2 little tiny bits of squid, and on the bottom hook I had the crab. Now it definitely feels heavy, this one, but the tide has started to pull. But anyway, there could be something on here. It's not very far out. In fact, I've already got the leader part. Oh, what have we got? We have got something, and it isn't good news. Spider crab. Ah! The world's smallest spider crab. Let's take a closer look at the pest. Does that count as beating a blank? I don't think so. Let's get this chap put back to come and bite off another hook of another angler on another day. Look what we got! Look what we have! Spider crab, your friendly neighbourhood spider crab. Can he swing from a thread? Take a look above your head. Doo-doo! There goes the spider crab. Woohoo! Well, one thing we've definitely got now is tide. My 6-ounce grip that I cast pretty much straight out is now down that way towards Worthing. Anyway, let's see if anything took a fancy to my fresh out. So hey, we have a fish. It's not what I came to catch, but I do love catching flatties. Look at what we have here. A beautiful little dab. At last, a fish. We got one on the cards. I'm going to get this unhooked, pop him in my bucket of water to recover a bit, and then we'll get him chucked back. That was on the monobar rig with that fresh out lug, and it's absolutely wolfed it down. So I'm going to have to use the through the gills method to get this hook out, give him the best chance of going back well. But we got one, people. We're off the mark with a dab. So this dab has been sitting in the bucket for a bit. There he is, coming in just under 23 centimetres. So I'm going to take him down to the sea, get him chucked back. Wow, the tide is still ripping. I think I had a couple of little twitches on the scratching rod. So let's wind down into this, see if we got a fish. Well, there's some weight there, for sure. Is there a fish? That's the question. Is it a crab? Is it a fish? Is it nothing at all? It is nothing at all. Well, I'm going to get moved up the beach, get this one chucked back out with a 3-hook flapper on it, and keep trying. At least I got both my hooks back this time. Well, one thing we have definitely got is tide. Look at the tips on those rods. It is absolutely ripping from left to right at the moment. So this is the multi-tip rod I've just cast out way to the left, and that's going to swing round in front of me because it's only got that plain pyramid lead on. Whereas the other rod is the 6-ounce grip. I walked a good 20 yards down the beach, maybe a bit more, chucked it out, and it's already a long way down that way. Hopefully it'll ease off in a little bit. We're about 45 minutes from high. Anything could happen. Let's keep fishing. Well, time to check the plaice rig again. With this tide rip, I'll be surprised if we get another hook up until it eases off. But we're going to keep fishing because we're down the beach. Whew. We've still got about, let's see, what time is it? 20 minutes till high tide. I'm just wondering whether I needed to move up this bank at all. Bloody hell. This is well in. There's some serious resistance here. It is moving. I wonder if I'm pulling in someone's crack off or something. There's quite a lot of may rot floating on the surface now. But I can't see too many globs on my line. What on earth is this? Probably like 3 massive spider crabs or something. Or it could just be the weight of the may rot. Because now my line's getting in closer, I can see there's quite a lot of it on it. There's a lot of may rot. I don't think, to be honest, I don't think I've ever seen so much may rot on my line. That is absolutely disgusting. I wonder my 6-ounce grip lead's not holding. With all that may rot. No fish. That weight, that bend in that rod was literally the may rot. And what about the baits? Bottom hook is clean. That had the fresh lug on it. Top hook with the frozen, untouched. Anyway, time to get the mono bar rig back out with the fresh out on it that I've got here baited up and ready to go. So let's get this lovely fresh lug chucked out. I'm not going to stick it as far as the last cast because that may rot is absolutely insane out there. Honestly, I've never had so much rot on my line in one cast as I did then. So I'm definitely going to pop this closer. Ugh, spraying may rot in my face. Hopefully it will ease off when the tide turns. Yeah. Well, here we go, look. A couple of bream, sadly not caught by me. But a fish show down the beach just brought them along to show us.
Oh,
Bit spiky.
a pair of lively ones. A double shot of bream, bottom of the stone.
Very nice.
Bait. As I'm having a little competition with Gemma, I'll just give it a measure just to see what they are.
And go down near the box.
Get on the end.
What's that coming in at?
26.
26, very nice.
That's that one.
And the second one, we'll have a look at that one.
Oh.
Splashing around in the bucket at the moment they are. Not wanting to go over to the box.
Like peas in a pod, it'll probably be the same size.
They are, aren't they?
And that one?
28 nearly 28.
We say 27.
Yeah, 27 and a bit.
27 and a bit.
Very nice. So there we go, there are bream here. Now I just need to see if I can get one as well. I've just been reeling this one in that I didn't chuck out as far because of the may rot in the water. And look at that. Maybe you can see what is on my line. It is disgusting. But you can see that weighing the line down as it's coming in. Let's try and get you looking straight down the line. Oh. But that is truly vile may rot. I think until the tide turns, properly starts going back out, which hopefully might clear some of this rot, I'm going to be chucking this one out about 50 yards, because that is just massively unpleasant. And the bait's completely gone. Anyway, we'll keep try and get another fish. Well, we've got to keep on fishing through the rot. Monobar rig, loaded with another fresh out, ready to be launched, but keeping it around 50-60 yards this time to try and keep the worst of the rot off the line. Let's get it out. Given I'm only flicking it, I don't need my thummy for this one. Tighten the mags up a couple of clicks, lay it back on the beach, and we're good to go. Hopefully that'll stay out the worst of the rot and the worst of the tide pool. We've got a bite on the multi-tip. Hopefully this will be one of those nice bream that's out there. Just tighten that up a tiny little bit. It's definitely had a few pull downs on it. Let's just keep watching. I'm going to lift into it and see if I can get a hook up. Let's see, wish me luck. Oh yeah, there's definitely some weight on this one. This isn't may rot, this is a fish. And it's definitely fighting back. Just keep winding nice and slow. This reel does have a very fast retrieve on it, so I don't want to go too crazy. What do we have? Oh, only I could do this. It is a fish, but it is not the target species. We have a dogfish. Would you believe it? A dogfish in May, well, apart from the May rot, fairly clear seas, a calm day. Anyway, let's get it unhooked, chuck it back. That is really not what I wanted, but hey, a fish is a fish. And now we've had a dab and a dog. I'll get some other baits chucked out. There he is, good to go back. Pretty tiny dogfish, but hey, they all count. So dogfish has gone back, and I'm going to bait up my Wessex style rig with some whites. So if I just scratch down a bit, I'll get my white rag out. So we got those here. It's just gone high tide. I haven't used them yet because the conditions just have been pretty dire, to be honest. So how are we going to stick these on? Well, let's have a look at what I've got here. A few little whites. I'm going to get the baiting needle. And I'm going to choose a big one. That one will do. Well, big. None of them are particularly big. But you take what you can get some days. Just going to push that in, trying to hold it still. Get all of that on the hook, on the baiting needle, like that. This is going on the bottom hook. So we're going to slide this on, just like we do with the lug. And because it's not an absolute monster, I'm going to need more than one of these worms on here. But I'm going to pop that one up, just like that. And then I'm going to get a few of the smaller ones and just tip it off. Like you would with a punch of maddies, basically. There we go. So, oops, don't want to lose the tail. Try it again. Next one. Nick that on there. Oh, that's a lively one. There we go. Not a really massive bunch of whites, but they haven't got many. So I've got to strike a balance between getting enough bait on the hook and getting enough casts out of them. Anyway, there we go. A little bit of white rag to try. Pop these back in the cool bag for later. And on the top hook, I'm just going to stick a bit of lug. That's what Fisho had his bream on. So we are going to try that on the top hook. Even though I've got quite small hooks on here, we're going to stick this nice big worm on. And hopefully it won't mask the point too much. So top hook. Oops, get the bait needle the right way around. There we go. Just slide that on and we're good to chuck that back out on the scratching rig shortly. Happy days. So let's take a look at how I'm going to bait up the razorfish. I've taken it out of its shell and got it here. And I'm going to put this on the bottom hook of my 12-inch loop rig. Now, the size of the hook compared to the size of the razorfish, it's a bit of a disparity. So I'm not going to put the whole thing on. I'm actually going to chop it in half to make the bait a little bit smaller. So I'm going to get my scissors. I'm just going to chop that in the centre there. Pop the half back down in the little tub I'm using. These are great, these little tubs. Get them from Tronics Pro. Stick them in the dishwasher when they get a bit filthy. It comes out looking great. I find them really handy. They keep my box tidy. And then when I'm out fishing, I can keep all my bait handy in them. So we're going to get that on the hook. Get some bait elastic. Find the end. There it is. Whip this on to the bait needle. There we go. Slide that down the bait needle to the other end, and then we're going to slide it on the hook. Make sure it goes around nice and neat. Slide the bait stop down to hold that in place. And there we go. Razor fish ready to go. And the top hook, I'm going to stick one of these lugworm. So again, nip the tail onto the bait needle, tail first. That keeps the nice juicy bit up the hook point end. And we get this slid on the top hook. I'm going to need a bit more space there before I do that. Move the bait stop down, slide that around, and then I'm going to get the bait stop positioned appropriately. So there we go, good to go. So it's two lovely fresh baits ready to get chucked out into the Mayrot. Wow, just look at the tide rip on that. It's now pulling right to left as the tide is going out. I did for a moment wonder whether my tripod was going to get pulled over, but thankfully not. Oh, so much tide pull, I've got to tighten up that drag. Anyway, we're going to get this one reeled in, and then I'm going to chuck out that rig loaded with whites and a fresh black. Oh, this one's smothered in Mayrot as well, even though it's hardly any distance out. There's no escaping it today, guys. Be nice if there's a fish on the end as well, because it's not another doggy. Let's see. Is this weight a fish? Or is it one of these? Spider crab, your friendly neighbourhood spider crab. Ah, spider crab. I think I've lost the plot. Mayrot, spider crabs and dogfish. What is the world coming to? Well, given we've got the tide pull and the rip, I've now walked about 25 yards to the west of my shelter, and we're going to get out the loop rig loaded with the razor fish and the fresh lug. Again, I'm not going to cast it too far because we got this issue with the rot, putting horrendous drag on the line to go with the strong tide rip that we get down here. So I'm just going to lay this back behind me and give it a little flick. There we go. That is out about 60 yards. And you never know, we still might catch something, but here for plaice, it really is a distance venue. So I'm not expecting to get a plaice on this one, but we'll see if we can pick something up anyway. You never know, there might be a dogfish, there might even be another spider crab. Well folks, it's time to find out whether those white rag have done the trick. The tide is ripping so hard. I think I've probably said that quite a few times in this video, but I'm not sure what's going to be going on out here. No, I don't think there's a fish on it. I've got my 3-hook flapper baited up and ready to go back out, and that's got a bit of razor fish on it and some lug. And did I put some squid on there? I've got razor, yeah, squid on one of the hooks as well. So 3 different baits on that, ready to get chucked out. This one looks like it's been stripped clean. And what have we got here? Let's see. Bottom snood, no hook. Top snood, no hook. There we go. I wonder what did that. Responses in the comments. I bet you all know. Anyway, let's get some more baits out. Well, it's time to reel in again. See if we have a fishy. Tide's dropping out now. Not quite as low as it was when I got here, but it's definitely well into the ebb. Let's see if I can get the grip lead out. This isn't even out very far, and it is rotty. Anyway, I'm going to keep reeling this in. Well, the top hook has been stripped and the bottom hook has been snipped. Oh yes, another spider crab gets in on the action, eating my hard fought for pumped lug that I got last night. Anyway, we'll keep fishing and keep hoping to catch another one. Well, the spiders are in close. The May rot's out far. Well, I say it's out far, it's actually everywhere. But the further out I cast, the more I get on my line. Now, if I was sensible, I'd have changed out my mono bar rig, which is designed for distance, because I just can't fish at distance in this rot. It's so heavy on the line. And I'd have changed it for one that is more, more designed. That's not necessarily the right word. One that isn't designed specifically for distance, with 2 hooks on. But I've just lost another hook. That's 3 hooks now I've lost in the last 2 reelings, which is quite a lot of hooks really. Spiders are pests. Anyway, I'm going to give it a little bit longer. If the spiders clear off again, that'll be great and we'll carry on fishing. If not, I might save the rest of the bait I've got and try on another day. But anyway, I'm definitely going to keep going for a bit longer, see if we can pick out another one. This one's going to go in close again. Maybe really close actually, now I'm thinking about it, because the rot is bad, the spiders are bad. And there might just be something in really, really close. Right, let's give it a go. How close can I get it? So I'm casting from the top of the bank, but that landed about 30 yards out in the water. Let's see if there's any fish there. Now I'm going to go and clean the May rot off my face that's sprayed up off the reel. So I thought we could have a little update on progress with the pound bet I had with Fisho. So far my dogfish is in the lead. So I've had that dab earlier that was just under 23 centimetres, and the dogfish was easily the width of my big beach box from Tronics Pro, even though it was quite a small dogfish overall. So it's probably about somewhere between 45, 50 centimetres. And Fisho had those 2 bream that we got on camera. So we're going to keep trying, see if we can stay in the lead. I haven't seen him pull anything else out, and I reckon he would have been along to say hello if he had another fish. So we'll keep trying to keep winning that pound. Big money stakes today, big money stakes. Well, to end the session, look what I've got. A pound for the biggest fish. Hey, we win. Well, what can I say? I've been fishing for 6 hours now, and we've had 1 dab, 1 dogfish, and 2 spider crabs to show for it. And I've lost a lot of hooks. Since I think I said just now I'd lost at least 6 or 7, I've lost more since then. So it's been pretty tough going, and that's compounded by all the May rot that we've had on the line, and with the big tide pool you can get around here, taking that May rot on the line has really taken its toll on trying to hold bottom. So I haven't been able to fish at distance much at all today because of that tide pool. So it's been difficult, but I've carried on trying. I've tried using fresh lug, frozen lug, white rag, squid, razorfish. Tried all the baits I brought with me. Oh, and crab. I used some crab as well. And we've only been able to produce 2 fish for it. But it's been a lovely day. I've been sitting out here in the sun, enjoying a cup of tea that I've made on my jet boil. So it's not all bad, and it is, after all, fishing and not catching. But if you've enjoyed this video, please consider clicking the like button, and I'd really love it if you subscribe to my channel. And a big thanks and thumbs up to everyone who's subscribed so far. It's very appreciated, and I'd love to hear your comments in the comments section. So until next time, this is it for today. Cheers everybody.